Right. Yeah. Good morning, Stephen. Do you want to share your screen or turn on video?
I think I'll do a bit of both. Let me first turn on the video. I think I'll share the screen when I start the real presentation.
All right. So thank you for making this morning. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thanks a lot, Abid, for having me. My name is Stephen Luyonjo. I'm an accountant by profession. I run a firm called Fathom Associates. Fathom Associates is into business consulting services. We do accounting, we do audit, we do tax and tax planning, we do strategic planning, we do business planning, and also financial literacy for such teams as yours. I'm glad to be here. Qualifications, I have a master's in financial management from Amity University, India. I also have a bachelor's in accounting and finance, a bit of programming and stuff like that. I've worked in a couple of places before I left employment. Now I left employment, so I'm self-employed. So I think I'm in colleagues. I am both a facilitator, but also here to learn from you. That's, I think, a bit about me. I'm married to 1 wife and 3 children. And I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve, for that intro. You seem to have had an interesting life. Okay. So maybe we can start your presentation.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me get to it. Maybe what I didn't talk about is that in the past, in my earlier days, at some point I was heading the Investment Clubs Association of Uganda. So some of the experiences that I'm going to be sharing are going to be drawn from the work that I've done with investment clubs for quite a while. I still do support investment clubs here and there. And today I've been told that I'm speaking to entrepreneurs and prospective entrepreneurs. So I am going to be, in my talk, I'm going to be skewing my discussion a lot around entrepreneurs. Now, this presentation is quite big, but I was told that I have less than an hour. In fact, it's much less when you consider that we also might have questions and answers. So I'll not be talking about every element of this presentation or every slide, but at least the ones that I think entrepreneurs need to know about. So allow me to share my screen. Okay. Abid, kindly tap me when you can see it. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Still waiting. Okay, yeah, I can now see it.
All right. Okay, just a second. All right. Now, I've been asked to talk about investment groups. I think I've already introduced myself about investment groups and how best investment clubs or investment groups can be of help to entrepreneurs such as yourselves. Okay, I hope I'm using the right screen. Okay, just a second. All right. So in this presentation, we shall be talking about what investment groups are. And I think it is in that area where we shall be understanding what the contribution of investment groups can be to entrepreneurs. And then we'll talk about some of the nuts and bolts or success factors for investment groups. There are elements that I won't talk about. I might not talk much about legal structures and other things of how to start an investment group. I'm assuming that maybe that can be discussion for another time. And then I'll be taking on a few questions and answers. I've already introduced myself, so I won't go through that. Now, what's an investment club? An investment club, now there are keywords, if you notice the words that I've underlined. Number one, it's a group of people. There has to be a group. And in ICAO, we define an investment group as a group as a group that has at least three people and above. Why? Because 2 is majorly probably a joint account. So if 3 or more people come together to mobilize savings, okay, periodically. Now, periodically is another keyword. Why? Because a lot of us earn monthly. Now, for entrepreneurs, probably you earn daily. Some earn weekly. Employees earn monthly. So there's got to be that element of periodic saving. So they mobilize savings periodically from amongst themselves and invest. Now, the keywords are group, 3 people and above. They mobilize savings. If you're going to run an investment club, you have got to be very critical and very key on mobilizing those savings. Now, a lot of people give excuses, and that's one vice that we have in our country. A lot of us have excuses. This month, kids are going back to school. The following month, I have financial difficulties. It is critical that we have that we keep that discipline. There's nothing good that you're going to get if you don't exhibit or exercise a certain amount of discipline. I belong to an investment club called Christlink Capital. Christlink Capital, or CLC, has been around since 2007. We are coming up on about 15 years now. 16 years now. But one of the challenges that we found when we had just started was that was excuses. Okay, people would give excuses. I'm not able to invest. I'm not able to come for the meetings, and those are the most common vices or challenges that investment clubs go through. I'll talk more about that on how to overcome. You have got number 3, to be able to invest. Please note that an investment club is different from a money round or from Nigina. For those of you that know about Nigina, there are people that collect money. This time we give it to so and so. The next time we give it to so and so. Well, maybe they meet a certain objective, but I don't find it very useful. Investment clubs have got to invest. Now, and in the same breath, I will also talk about the fact that investment is different from doing business. An investment is different from doing business. Now, I am talking to business people. I think I'll pen this for later. The difference between investing and doing business, but investment clubs have got to invest. Number 3, investment decisions have got to be made collectively. Basically, each person has got to make a contribution as far as the investment plans or the investment objectives are concerned. Now, there's a statement here from Investopedia. So from Investopedia, it says, while their primary motivation is to make the most money possible, clubs are also a great way for investors to share ideas and learn about the market. This is another very great advantage that investment clubs give to members. Each club has got to have a deliberate mechanism or effort, has got to put in deliberate effort to teach or to educate the members on various elements of the business that they are doing. I'm so glad that that Enterprise Uganda has brought this thing together. But we are hoping that also in your individual investment clubs, if you belong to one or if you're planning to start one, that you put in place mechanisms such as this to empower your members with knowledge and with ideas of how to do their business and how to do it better. Not just their business, but also things like saving, inculcating a saving culture and saving discipline and stuff like that. Okay. Okay. Yes, I told you that I'll talk about the difference between investment and doing business. I'm talking to business people. Okay. You are running a business. I'm going to use, in my presentation, I'll use an example of, say, a business like selling tiles. You're a trader downtown in Nakasero. Okay, you're selling tiles. Okay, that's a business. Why? Because you wake up every morning and you put in money. So you put in your time.
All right, Stefan, are you still there? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Now we can. I'd lost you for a minute. Please continue.
Oh, okay. Yes, I was saying that the difference between investment and doing business is that for a business, business is busy. You wake up in the morning, you go to your business, you sit there, you do your accounts, you see customers. If you're selling tiles, you see customers, you make purchases. That element of daily running of the business is a business. A business is busy. Investment, on the other hand, is passive, something like rentals or apartments or unit trusts or a treasury bill. Those are investments. You can invest in a business. And I think I'll be talking more about that in my next, I think it's the next slide. Now, why investment clubs? Why should you join an investment club? Or why should you set up an investment club? What's the contribution of investment clubs to entrepreneurs such as yourselves? I think I'll start off with a story. A couple of months ago, I was setting up certain investment clubs, doing certain construction. And I normally buy some of my materials from Nakasero, from you people. So I walk into this shop. It's a shop of a friend of mine. She's selling tiles. So I got there. Of course, I begin bargaining. Now, if you've been to Nakasero, I mean the downtown Nakasero, you know that almost 60% of those streets are filled with sellers or traders of construction materials, tiles, glasses, paints, all those things, and they are competing with each other. So I first walked into a couple of shops before entering my friend's shop and asked about the prices, and of course bargained. So by the time I walked into my friend's shop, I already knew the price and I already knew the kind of price that I wanted. Of course, naturally, I wanted to get the lowest price possible. And of course, I bargained with her. And then she sits me down and tells me, you know what, Stefan, on each box of tiles, the truth is, like she makes 3,000 shillings. Now, that was a bit alarming to me because I thought they were making a lot of profits. So she tells me, you know what, for me to be able to pay off all my expenses and continue running so that you can find me the following day, I have to sell so many boxes of tiles because I make just a little on every box. So we got into a discussion, a friendly discussion on why she was struggling in the business. And she tells me, you know what, these tax people, they come, the KCCA guys want trading license, I have to pay rent, I have to, and yet I'm only making 3K on a box of tiles. Why is she making 3K only? Because of competition. The street is filled with people that are selling the same tiles, buying from the same supplier who is goodwill. She's so small, her revenue does not allow her to register for VAT. And yet she pays VAT when she's buying the tiles from goodwill. So she pays for VAT, which she cannot claim from URA because she's not VAT registered. So she has to work with just about 3K. So you have to sell probably 300 or 500 boxes of tiles for you to be able to just make it by. And that got me thinking, and it drives me into my next slide. Allow me to share another, just a second. I have made a scenario of that lady and probably what some of our businesses might be going through presently. So it's in a different slide. So allow me to share it. Just a second. In a different presentation, sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me share a different new share. Can you see this, Abid?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, this is a scenario of my friend looking at her monthly income and expenses, running alone with 10 others. And we're going to draw a scenario where those 10 come together, form an investment club, and see whether there are any advantages that might accrue from that. So let's assume 10 of you are on the same street, Nakasero. You're all selling tiles. You are all competing with each other. You're all not tax registered. You're not VAT registered because of your little revenue, your SMEs. I'm assuming each one makes about 15 million shillings, which means that 10 of you make a total of 150 million. Because you're not VAT registered, it means that your cost of sales, okay, the cost of each of sales is slightly higher. Why? Because you are not recovering the VAT that you're paying on your tiles. If you were VAT registered, if you are big enough to be VAT registered, your margins would probably be higher. So your cost of sales comes to about 12.39 million. That's about 123 for 10 of you in total. Therefore, your gross profit as a business will be about 2.6 million. Each one of you pays rent of a million shillings, which is 10 million shillings a month. You all pay salaries. Maybe you have one worker. Apart from yourself, you have one worker, you pay 300K. That's a total of, I think that's 3 million. Sorry for that. You all have other expenses. You pay trading license, you pay utilities, you pay audits, you pay stuff like that, everything. Let's put a total of about 1 million shillings. So the profit that each one of you is going to make is about 310,000 shillings per month, which comes to 3.1 million shillings in total for that 10 of you. You're competing with each other. So you all are forced to pull down the price so that you can make a sale. You are all paying expenses. You all wake up in the morning, you drive to town, or you go to town, you pay transport, you all eat lunch, you all pay salaries. What if 10 of you could come together and set up one business? That business will be able to determine the price. You'll be able to, you will be sort of monopolists on the street. You're going to rent one shop, maybe one bigger shop. So again, going into the numbers, your total revenue will be about 150 million, 10 of you, okay? The cost of sales, remember we said that because now you are big, you can register for VAT. So therefore your margins are going to be significantly higher than if you were operating as individuals. And I've seen this a lot even in my business in consultancy, in Fathom Associates. So cost of sales will be about 105 million, which comes to gross profit of 45 million shillings a month. You all rent one shop. Instead of paying 10 million, you're paying 2 million. Maybe it's a bigger shop because now it's a bigger business. You're going to probably employ 2 staff or more qualified staff. So you're going to pay less in salaries. You're going to pay a lot less in other utilities, rent, audits, maybe put in another 2 million. Therefore, your total profit at the end of the year, or at the end of the month, is going to be about 40 million, okay? Divided among 10 of you, that comes to about 4 million shillings per person. And yet when you are operating together, when you're operating, when each person had a shop, you are getting 310,000. Now you're getting 4 million shillings each. Why? Because you have decided to collaborate rather than to compete. So it is very, very profitable for you to work together. And you know, we have one challenge in our country. A lot of us would rather be the big person, the big guy, the big fish. What do they say? The big fish in a little pond, rather than being a little fish in an ocean. Because we have that, I don't know, maybe it's because of our efforts for that, the efforts that have been put in, encouraging people that, you know what, if you can't find a job, go start your own business. Let me tell you one thing, my friends. Uganda, this is not news to you, I'm sure. Uganda, I think, is the second, either the first or the second most entrepreneurial country in the world. How do we measure that? By the number of businesses that register every day. But most of them die out because they cannot manage to do it. Because you're operating with just 310,000, that means you can probably only pay your rent, your personal expenses, maybe just pay rent. So before you know it, so you're going to find that most of these businesses are forced to close because they are operating little things, and so they cannot afford to do things like audit. Even when URA comes down on you and tells you, you know what, give us audited accounts. You don't have them. You cannot afford an auditor because you are a small business. Okay. Now going back to, just a second, going back to my earlier slide. Okay. To my earlier presentation. Other benefits of starting, of being a part of an investment club, of course, there's the element of rapid growth due to the requirement for periodic saving, the capital that you're able to mobilize. Each one of you had, say, 10 or 20 million, you bring that 20 million together, suddenly you have a business of 200 million, okay, which you would not be able to do. There's also the challenge of Ugandans having very poor saving culture, saving discipline. This is the one thing that I've learned, one of the biggest things that I've learned from my own investment club. When we had just started, we were in school, the biggest challenge that most of us were finding, even the ones that had started getting jobs at that time, was a bad habit of not saving. People would give excuses. It was not in our blood. And it's the one thing that we started working on, to inculcate that saving culture, that saving discipline amongst us. And it's the one of the greatest things that we have learned. The periodic saving, because you know what, when you're part of an investment club, you're required to bring your savings. If you don't, you are fined. If you still don't respond, you are fired. So I'm hoping that in investment clubs, you do these things. Please stop allowing people giving excuses. There will always be financial difficulties. People will always have financial challenges, but you have got to be able to move on. Then also the element of synergy, the synergies that come in. Remember in our example, okay, each one of you has to do an audit. So you're going to spend, say if each audit is costing, say 1 million shillings, you're going to spend 10 million. But by doing one business, you are spending just 1 million on a bigger business. Even if that cost was doubled, you'd still spend 2 million rather than 10 million. So you're able to cut down on costs. You're able to utilize your individual expertise. Okay, because you find one person is very good at numbers, another person is very good at marketing, another person is very good at legal. You're able to bring your heads together. Those are the synergies that come in by working together. They can give back to larger corporations. You all have heard about YSave. You've heard of TransCentury in Kenya and several other investment clubs. You can set up big entities compared to the little tiny businesses that we're doing as individuals. Then, of course, mobilization of capital, which I've already talked about. I'm not going to go much into legal structures because these are nitty-gritties. Maybe if we have time for that. Please note. Let me remind you of one critical element of business. I don't know how your businesses are set up. Maybe we didn't have time to hear that. Maybe you can put it in the chat, the name of your business or the legal structure of your business. But most of them are either companies or partnerships. Most are companies. But if you remember, the word company is an English word, actually, which means to work together. When I was young and I got bad,
we have lost you a bit. Stefan, are you there?
Hello?
Okay, yeah, continue.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, I was saying that when I just started, when I was younger, and my grandmother suspected that I had bad groups or bad friends, she would tell me, Stephen, you're turning a company. Like you have started a group of people, you have set up a group of people that are maybe bad influence. So company is actually an English word to mean working together. And most of the companies are set up, most of the businesses are set up as companies, which means that you have got to be working with other people. In the recent past, I don't know how many years ago, Uganda introduced single-man companies. Well, personally, I'm biased against them. I mean, how can you be a company when you're just one person? But the point is, you have got to have people to work with, to collaborate with. That's why you have the word company, cooperatives, partnerships. All these words actually mean working together. So business is meant to be a group of people that are working together. So please note that element. Moving away from that, going into starting your investment club, please get started. If you really want to start an investment club and you think it's something that you're going to want to do, please get started with the little money, with the few members. You do not need very many people. The mistake that a lot of us make is to wait until everyone is on board. When we started CLC, most of us were at campus, some had just started getting jobs. We were part of a fellowship. And we said, okay, guys, we are leaving campus soon, let's start something. Because some people have started getting jobs, they are not saving. But you know, some people were biased against it, and we started the club. But I will tell you, the moment the club started running, the numbers grew very fast. We started about 5 of us. We were part of a fellowship outside the fellowship that was called WIPE. But the numbers grew to 60, attracted people that were not in part of that fellowship. In about 2 months, we were 60 in number. So the numbers, people kept joining because in Uganda, they say, some people will only board a bus that has already been ignited. So some people will only wait for it to tokota to be able to get onto the bus. So please start even with a few members of 3 and above. But please note some critical elements. Let me get into that. For you to succeed, and I am going to attempt to answer the question that a lot of times I get asked. Why do some clubs fail? Why do some people?
Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
Some people are skeptical about joining investment clubs. Number one, leadership. Leadership is a critical success nut or bolt. Because the success of any team starts and ends with the leader. If you're part of an investment club, please be very critical on who you put in leadership. Leaders ought to be decided to make decisions, to be presidential. Leaders ought to lead by example. I cannot emphasize the element of I cannot overemphasize the element of good leadership in the success of an investment club. Some clubs have ended up failing because of leadership. There's a big vice that investment clubs have when choosing leaders. They come on the AGM and they say, you know what, who wants to take on leadership? Who wants to be the next chairperson? And they say, because the constitution says we shall vote leaders maybe every year, every AGM. So who wants? And people say, I am nominating Carol. Carol, are you willing? Carol says, no, I'm busy. Who else wants? I am nominating Abid. Abid, are you willing? Yes, I'm willing. Is there anyone to nominate, to second? I second Abid because he's my friend. Put up your hands, we vote Abid. Fast forward, Abid is not performing. Because you didn't have time to assess whether Abid would actually be able to handle the position that you're giving him. So that whole open-ended democracy, I do not think works. It rarely works when money is involved. So what we do in CLC is that there is a team of people that first vet these leaders and prepare them before they take on leadership. So that you only get, we had that problem when we just started. You would vote people into power and the next day they are not coming for meetings and then they are frustrating the efforts of the group. So please be very, very deliberate when choosing leaders. Have a group of people that vet them, have time to prepare them. I think you can have more discussion around voting leaders when it comes to investment clubs. Number two, purpose. What are you out to achieve as an investment club? Where are you going as an investment club? A lot of people say, you know what, they get excited. Let's start an investment club. But what are you trying to achieve? where are you going? Investment clubs will help you to wade off or sorry, your goal, your purpose will help you to determine who joins your club and who doesn't. There is an interesting story of, I think it's Transcentury in Kenya. They said, guys, we are starting, but we want to set up, the time they were starting, I think about 10 or 12 years ago, they wanted to set up a company that would do just 3 things. Number 1, financial services. Number 2, I think it was property, and number 3, I don't remember the third thing. I think I'll send you the story of Transcentury. But they were very deliberate. They knew how much money they wanted. 10 people came together. They wanted, I think, about 8 million Kenya shillings per person to be able to start the company they started. And right now, Transcentury is a big story all over East Africa because they were clear on where they were going. In CLC, we started a bit informal, a bit laissez-faire. So we started the thing, and of course we kept struggling, moving up and down and going, but we somehow survived for quite a while. But from the time we drew our strategic plan, okay, we have realized that we have grown much faster because of the purpose that we had, because at least the strategic plan tells us where we are going and how we are going to get there. It also informs the people that want to join us that, you know what, if you don't want to do these things, if you don't want to get to this destination, maybe this is not the club for you to join. We are currently 50 and we have hit our maximum. But you know, before we were struggling and 30, we were 30 for quite many years before we got this strategic plan. So please be very deliberate about where you're going, even in your objectives. Number 3, the most important thing, number 3, is integrity and accountability. A lot of people are afraid of joining investment clubs because they think they will be conned, because they think they will lose their money. A lot of people are more comfortable working with themselves because they think they can trust only themselves. Why? Because they have got bad stories. They've been disappointed, and that's a reality. So it is critical that you, as the people that are starting the investment club, you are people of integrity, and that everyone who steps into leadership is a person of integrity. Now, the difference between integrity and accountability is that integrity is generally being honest, due honesty. Accountability is appearing to be, and you need both, appearing to be honest. That's how I differentiate between integrity and accountability. You have got to have that accountability. You have got to appear to be, you have got to give confidence, to exude confidence among your members that their money is safe. Because people have been robbed, people have been conned. When your members come and they're asking serious questions, they're asking why money is being spent, they are not challenging your leadership. They are not challenging you as the leader. They need those explanations, and you need to be able to give them. Many have been conned, so please ensure that you have that accountability. Do things right. You need to have audited books of accounts. All these things are meant to show the members that, you know what, your money is safe, even when sometimes clubs are not stealing from their members. But because they are not appearing to be, they don't have books of accounts, they don't file returns, they don't file important resolutions, you know, they don't send statements to members. Members begin to get these questions, and the moment you lose the trust of your members, trust me, you are going to lose the investment club, I promise you. So please have that accountability and integrity. Then, of course, other success nuts and bolts, there's the element of teamwork. If you're going to, remember our example that we gave, when we are starting, that, you know what, you've set up a business, you cannot begin now to compete against the club that you belong to, okay? One of the things that we do in CLC is land, okay? We do the land banking, we buy and sell land, and it's a business big time. But you know what, someone came and told me, you know what, Stefan, I think you can do this business even as a person. Can't you like buy for me land, and, you know, can't you start doing this business as a person? And the truth is I can, I have that potential, but it will not be teamwork. I will be competing against my own club. So when there is an opportunity, guess what, who's going to take it? I will take it for myself rather than bringing it to the club. So please bring the best deals to the club and stop competing against your own investment club. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose as to why you set up the club. have a bank account and ensure that you remit your money. Then, of course, there are quite many. My time is fast spent, but I think I'll leave about 15 minutes for Q&A. But just a second, let me see if I can be able to get something here. Trying to get the story of Transcentury, but anyway, that one I think I'll just send it. There are some investment clubs, quite a number, okay? But let me talk about ICAO even as I conclude. ICAO is the Investment Clubs Association of Uganda, the one that I used to chair. Now I handed over to a gentleman called, to someone who also handed over, and then right now the chairperson is called Mwanja Bernard. If you need the contacts, I can give them to you, but it was set up in 2012 to bring together investment clubs and share ideas, some of the things that I'm sharing, to talk about some of the challenges that they're facing, how they've been able to overcome them, how to share even investment ideas and things like that. So thank you so much. Back to you, Abid, just in case we have any questions that I need to respond to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Yes, I'm seeing Mwanja Bernard, the current chairman of Investment Clubs of Uganda, is in chat. Thank you very much, Mwanja, for joining us. Just a reminder to everybody that all our sessions that we have every Thursday are posted on our YouTube channel. You can just check it out, Enterprise Uganda. Also follow us on social media, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And we also have a WhatsApp group where you can always also join in. Stefan, people ask, sorry, Mwanja, people asking for your number. I think also Stefan, people asking for your number. Yes, there have been a few numbers that have come in chat, a few questions that came in even before you started. But let's start with Habasa Dennis, whose hand is up. Habasa, please go forward. Habasa? Okay, I think Habasa has gone for tea. Joy Naiga, please go ahead. Joy? I don't know. Can people hear me? Sorry. Okay. Let me just look at. Okay. Yes. Okay. It's so it's an issue of the host rights. Okay. For now, let's just put the question.
I think now we can hear you. You can hear us.
Okay. Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Mr. Stephen. This is very crucial topic. That is very interesting. However, the main challenge in forming these investment clubs is, of course, the issue of I don't know if it is the Ugandan culture, in a sense that we start mistrusting each other, and these issues of conman and this. I don't know which trick, honestly, we can break this cycle of those kind of doubts in forming this collective investment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Havas, Dennis. Like I said, I think it's critical to remember that not everyone is a thief, okay? It is true, some people are dishonest, and that's a reality of life. But I know the beauty is that most of the time, these clubs don't just start from nowhere. Most of the time, you have a group of friends that you've had an experience with in the past, or they are church members and friends and family. So it's not like you're going to be aliens to each other. Most of the time, you know the people that you're part of, and you know the people that you can trust with money and the people that you can't. So I think it's good to remember that not everyone is a thief. So let's avoid that thinking. It's possible that someone might cheat you, but not everyone is a thief. But also ensure on some of the things that I've talked about accountability measures, controls. You have got to put controls in place. Why do you give your money to the chairperson to bank it for you? You know, you are setting yourself up. That guy might have problems. Please ensure that it's a policy in your club that everyone who brings their money banks it on the bank account. Okay, that way you reduce the risks of someone getting financial problems and then using your money. And of course, there are quite many other controls that you can put in place. But I think yes, you have a valid point, but I think it's sometimes it's a thinking, it's a bias against investment clubs. Thank you.
To add on to that, it's always good to first know the people before you get together with them in an investment club. Choose people who you sort of already know, who have you some bit of common values. If you don't know them, do a bit of due diligence on them from other people. What is their character? What is their personality? And things like that. This will help you to form an investment club. There's one where I'm on, where if we don't know where you stay, we don't know who your people are, can't find you, you cannot join the club. And also at least half of the members of the club must know you and should have done business with you. Otherwise, you cannot join the club. Have some of these extra things. Okay, there's a question in chat from Francis, who says, looking forward to how contracts are managed by clubs, especially where contractors are mainly members.
For contracts managed by clubs, I wish I could help you, but the truth is, I don't know what sort of contracts. I think it's critical that you get into the investment club circles. At least on ICAO, you can have that discussion probably with the chairperson. He can guide you because at least for him, he has the database of the investment clubs and what they do and the members they are in. So I think that discussion, Bernard, you need to share your number on the chat. Maybe I'll also read it out before we close. The Bernard's number, I think I have it, or he can read it out himself. And then you can have that discussion with the chairperson of the investment clubs, because at least he has a database of those clubs here.
Okay, there's a question from Godfrey Sechindu. As tasked to formulate bylaws for our family circle and investment club, I have to make a few compromises here and there since family things are mostly sentimental. Can anyone be having a similar arrangement where you're saying family-based circle investment club that I can benchmark?
Okay, that question is not to me. Maybe anyone on the group or on the chat. But I think again that can be answered there. However, I am going to encourage you that as much as, yes, family, if you really intend that your club will be successful, I think you need to put in effort to address the issue of sentiments. Most family investment clubs that have not addressed that challenge end up failing. I know some investment clubs, family-based investment clubs, that have managed to succeed because what they've done is to put sentiments completely out. Because the moment you start an investment club and you can afford to take excuses of, guys, for the next 2 years, I'm not going to be able to save because even you know the problems that I have, you know, or maybe now you are my daughter, I took a loan from the club and I can't pay you. Understand, I paid you school fees. That club is going to fail. You have got to address those challenges. If you continue to make compromises in such a scenario, you're not going to be able to work with money. But maybe, like I said, probably that discussion can happen afterwards on that nitty-gritties that you can do. But yeah, sentiments have got to be handled.
Okay, I'm seeing Lucy Ojambo has a hand up. Please, then you can go ahead.
Thank you. And thanks, Stephen, for the presentation. I was trying to type, but I realized that I'm not as fast in typing as I am in speaking. Now, my question is, currently, I'm an executive member of an alumni investment circle. So now you see, it's an investment, but at the same time, it's a circle. So I think it's bringing us challenges in the sense that, okay, we were not the initial leadership team. We came in after the initial leadership team finished its term. But like you said, some of the do's Now, for instance, since we started in 2018, we've never had books of accounts. And when we started, we had this zeal and ambition. We were ambitious, and we bought property in Buaya and Namasubi, some huge chunks of land. But now, subsequently, members are not keen on constant savings, because our bylaws require that on a monthly, people save, I think, 200,000, So, but people are not saving. But we find now, like under our leadership, last year, there was a time someone lured us with some enticing deal of property again. And people were quick. Within 2 days, 3 days, people had raised 50 million to purchase that property. But there is no that constant contribution. Now we are at a point where they're demanding, because we are an investment circle, they want the component of credit and savings to be in lieu. And they would want us to now embark on loaning amongst members. But the question that I would have, okay, personally as an exec member and having been an exec member in other circles, there is no way I can approve someone's request for a loan when this person's account is not active. Active in the sense that you're not saving money on a constantly, because how are you going to repay the loan installments if at all even your savings you're not making on a constant? How can we deal with such a scenario to ensure that, because some of our members now are running away, that we're not giving them the loans? So please help and guide.
I think in a way you have the answer. Like I said, you have got to be very deliberate on this discipline. One of the reasons why the club set up was to inculcate that saving culture, was to remove those flaws that people have when they are not part of the club. So it's only the club that can help them to get that discipline, to get into that discipline of saving periodically without excuses. So my thinking is that you have got to if your bylaws don't address about that, if your constitution does not address that, you have got to address it. Please embed it in your constitution and bylaws that, you know what, here in this investment club, which is set up as a circle, we don't compromise. What do we do to someone that has not sent their savings at the end of the month? We fine them. What do we do if they still don't respond? We warn them. What do we do if they still don't respond? We let them go. And that is perfectly okay. Let me tell you one thing, my dear. Serious people are going to join serious investment clubs. Like I told you, at some point we were 60 in CLC, the numbers grew rapidly to 60. The moment we started to address, but at that time, I think we were saving like 30K per month, per member. 30K was very little money. The moment we started to introduce these rules, the numbers came down from 60 to 25, but we were growing much faster as 25 than we were at 60. Was that a problem? It was perfectly okay. So it's okay to fire some people. If some people are not responding to your call for them to save and to attend meetings, because clubs that don't meet end up failing, please get rid of them and attract on board members that are responding. And then most of the problems that you've talked about will be solved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. There's another question in chat. How do you deal with members who give excuses for not attending meetings?
Same thing. Again, find them. That's what we do. We find them. Some have genuine reasons, but you know what? To a person, every reason is genuine. To me, if I didn't come for this, I'll give you an example. Ronald called me a couple of days ago and told me, you know what, Stefan, I need you to speak to my friends and I said, okay. This morning I had 101 reasons why I shouldn't attend because I had another meeting, someone was calling me, but you know what? I realized I had made a promise. So by someone joining the club, they are making a promise to abide by the rules of the club. So you have got to have measures in place. What we do in CLC is that we fine you for not attending our meeting. If you are out of the country, it's understandable, but you have got to attend online, either out of the country or up country. Okay? So people will always have excuses. And for us, we find everyone, whether you lost your parent, God forbid, or you are broke, or we find everyone flat. People have complained about it, and we have told them, you know what, that is what you signed up for by joining this club. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonah Mangeni, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the presentation. My question is, we are an investment club. We started out as a group of 20 members. We have run for quite some time, and we have had an opportunity to be able to make some investments here and there. However, we are at a time when we need to expand and invite new members on board. We recently were having a conversation. What do we do? Do we seal off the investments we have been running as 20 members, and as we transition into, because we want to transition into a share model when we invite new members on board? So we were wondering, do we now seal off the investments we have already done as 20 members and then transition into a share model, and we start like afresh with the inclusion of new members? Your direction would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm assuming that your challenge is on how to assimilate new members when their investments that you've made in their absentia. I think it's perfectly fine. In CLC, we keep recruiting members. This year alone, we attracted, I think we've got about 8 members that have joined us this year until we reached 50. So it's okay. All you have got to do is to ensure that your accounts are in place, okay? Your books of accounts, your numbers, so that you can evaluate the share that each person has. Because when you're a share, the beauty with share with companies limited by shares is that you can vary the share price. If you think that maybe when you started, the 10 of you, said there were 10 or 20, I think when you started, the 20 of you, maybe your asset base has grown by a certain percentage. You have made so many profits which you have not paid out to the members, and so that money is still retained in the company. You would like the shareholders, sorry, the members that you had to benefit from that, so that the person that comes in now does not, so that it's fair for the people that have been around even when new people come in. All you have got to do is to ensure that your numbers are right. Have books of accounts and then evaluate the share price. You can vary the share price. You can say, okay, maybe when we started, the share price was 1,000 shillings per share. Right now, the share price is maybe 1,500 because of the profits, because of the effort that we have put in, because of the stresses that we have put in. So a person that comes in now pays a lot, slightly more than someone, slightly more for each share than someone who was around at the start. And then, of course, the lawyers can do the rest of the lawyers and the accountants can do the rest of the work. Thank you.
In addition to that, there are some groups I know which, if they're introduced a company limited by shares, what they do is that when a new member is coming in, they charge them a goodwill amount to join, right? Joining fee. This joining fee covers the interest that would bring them to the same level as every other person, such that they are at the same level. This also helps in doing that. And people have to be explained to why they're being charged this amount and what it's for, so that they understand. And then going forward, they're also at the same level of contribution as everybody else. There's a question with, what are some of the investment opportunities that investment clubs could deal with, can engage in?
Come again, what are some of the
investment opportunities that investment clubs could engage in?
Wow, that's a big one. The truth is there are very many. The biggest problem you're going to find is the fact that there are too many investment opportunities. So it's hard to choose one. The truth is there are very many. But I think it will come, how do you choose which one to do and which one not to do, I think is a harder question to answer than which opportunities, because there are very many. I mean, there are the stock market, there are unit trusts, there's real estate, there's loans, there are businesses, but it depends on I think you need to first assess your members. Where are your members? If your members are into business, maybe you have set up, you are a group of you that are doing maybe trade downtown. What business are you involved in? All of us are selling, say, clothes. It's okay to set up a big shop and put in management to handle the shop. That would be a good investment opportunity. If all of you are employed and you're working full-time, 8 to 5 every day, then maybe business is not something that you should go into. Maybe you need to do some passive investments like real estate. But how much do you have the knowledge in a particular investment? Do you have what it takes? How much money are you able to raise? There are quite many questions. I think that question you need to sit down. Maybe you can always have a chat, or you can sit down with people and they guide you, because you need to ask questions. How many are you? What kind of income do you have? How much money can you raise every month? How long do you want to exist? What's your age? Quite many questions for you to be able to answer those questions. Yes.
True. I also found one of the most guiding measures you can put in place for an investment. If there is not, every investment should have a member of the club directly running it, not part-timing in it, but full-time. So if there's an investment that needs a member to do that, and there's nobody willing to do that, do not go for that investment. Otherwise, you lose money. You can go for other investments that are lower risk, lower interest, but help you grow. And the thing a lot of investment clubs go for is that they want to get quick money very quickly. So they go for high risk investments, which make them lose money. So you have to assess what are the things that in your group, what are the abilities, what's the knowledge, who is there, who is available. Look at the skill set that's available and the knowledge that is there.
Definitely.
Okay, Daphne, please go ahead. And unmuted you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the presentation, Stephen. I happen to belong to a very big investment group which has over 400 members.
Wow.
But as a member, I'm finding challenges with management, where accountability issues will bring in excuses on board, like the management is a voluntary service aimed, and so you do not have to ask for accountability anytime, and there are no stipulated timelines for accounting, for giving accountability to members. And yet this is an investment group that is growing very fast. I can tell you it started in October, and as we talk, we have already collected over 0.6 B. So you can see it's growing very fast, not with all the members on board. I was very happy when Stephen was talking about firing members that are not compliant. I mean, why should we move with people who are not compliant? If I have my 20M and someone from October is saving 50,000 just because it's the minimum per month, I don't find it viable. But then management will keep telling you we have to keep pulling everyone on board. And then when you come up with a question of where is the 0.6 B, you people must come to know that the management is serving voluntarily. They have other things to do. I'm finding a very big challenge, and I would be happy. I would appreciate your advice so that I could also pass it on to my investment club. Maybe it would grow others. Thank you.
Wow, that is big. I find it very interesting. I think we need to have a detailed discussion on how you've managed to. Really, the first question, even when I heard you talk, is why would you be using volunteers when you have 400 members? For sure. You understand? When you have 400 members and you have £1 billion shillings to manage, why would you still be using volunteers? It's critical that by that time you have put in place some investments that can generate money for you to employ, at least for starters, an administrator or two. 400 is a big number. Our investment club is only 50 and we have staff, paid staff. So I find it very weird that you are 400 and you're still using volunteers. Well, maybe maybe it's a plan in the future, but I think the message to take back is accountability is critical. If your members begin to have the questions that you're getting, that club, I'm afraid, is going to find very big challenges on keeping those members. People begin to fall off and you don't know why they are falling off, and yet you're going to lose the serious people. In fact, unfortunately, you're going to start losing the serious people, and then you're going to remain with the laissez-faire, and that doesn't help the club. So please, again, the message is accountability. You have not only got to be people of integrity, but you have got to appear to be people of integrity, and those excuses just don't work. Even when you are volunteers, by the way, leadership in a young investment club is always a sacrifice, but you have got to be willing to take that sacrifice if you have managed, if you have accepted to take on the leadership responsibility. You can't give those excuses, or we can't give you accounts because we are volunteering. Then why did you step into leadership in the first place? That was the work that you had to put in place. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yes, that is very key. There's one investment clubs we have put there a percentage that goes towards administration. We have 5% of our gross contributions every year going towards administration. And this is because we realize that the administrative costs that will come. And some of them have had a data entrant for helping for keeping things up to date. We are paying for a system where all our data is kept so that people can refer it. And also each person in the group has access to this system. They're able to see how the group is performing. They are not able to maybe make decisions or something like that, but you're able to see. So transparency is very key, especially on 0.6 billion. You should be having somebody to manage that group. And then the rest of you would act as board members. And also another thing is, what are the controls on the bank accounts? Who are the signatories? Yeah, 0.6 is a lot of money. How do you deal with leadership transitions in leaderships of investment clubs for them to remain focused on goals?
Please prepare for it. Prepare for the change of leadership. Please remember that no leader is there to stay. So you have got to allocate a certain amount of time preparing for who is going to take on leadership. Like I said when I was sharing in the first place, that you don't change leaders on the AGM that day. You start the process in advance. Number one, assess, do a pilot study. Look into what we do in CEOs is that we begin to give tasks to members even before they take on leadership. In the course of our term of office is 3 years. In the course of the 3 years, we give tasks to people to organize a meeting, to do this and that, and then we see their performance. By the time the 3 years is coming to an end, we have already seen which people give excuses, which people don't respond to WhatsApps, which people don't come for meetings, which people put in a lot of effort. So we already have an idea on who can take on leadership. But even after that, you have got to put in place a mechanism of preparing them, training them, okay? And also the other thing is avoid changing all leaders at the same time. That's another challenge that some clubs, another mistake that some clubs do. They have the entire committee leaving at the same time, and then you don't have institutional memory. People are just trying out again. You don't have, people are learning, the learning curve. People are learning on there's no continuity. So it's critical that you plan for it, start it in advance, but also after getting the leaders, put in some time to prepare them. And also to the outgoing or the outgone committee or leaders, it is critical that you remain in touch, to be contacted or to be consulted, or even just to give guidance, to sit with the people that you have that you have brought into, the people that have succeeded you, remembering that if you leave and things crumble, then you were not a good leader. You didn't prepare for transition. So you have got to plan for it, assess the leaders, and also assess them, prepare them, train them, and also give them support when they take on leadership. Thank you.
Yeah, also a key thing on that is having updated rules on your constitution, in your bylaws. What a lot of clubs do is that they just get the generic bylaws and operate with those. Yet they have other things that they have developed on their own, which are not, and they haven't updated their constitution. Then the new leadership comes in, they are looking at the constitution and they're being told something else and they don't see it elsewhere and they get confused. So let it be a constant thing that when you have bylaws or rules that have been made, update your constitution and give it a version name and share it. So that this will also help the new leadership. And the regular meetings have minutes that can be accessed somewhere. So that when the new leadership comes in and you're telling them, in the other AGM, we decided, there's something they can read at and go through. This will also help with transition. Then okay, there's a question from Joy Naiga. What are the differences between investment clubs and companies when it comes to conducting business for profit? I'm currently a member of one investment club, and we have been informed that certain limitations, types of businesses we can engage in unless we convert our legal status to a company limited by shares. I've put the new link in chat. People are saying the preference expired. Please try the new one. I've just put it in chat. Yeah, Stephen, please go ahead.
Wow, I don't know whether this is the Joyce that I know. If it is, Joyce, I'm glad to hear from you. Joyce is a client. Although from different business or circles. Yes, please note that an investment club, the word an investment club is not a legal person. So the question of what's the difference between an investment club and a company doesn't suffice. An investment club is not a legal entity known in the laws of Uganda. It is simply a generalization of groups of people that come together, pool money, invest it collectively. Okay? So a club has got to take on a legal person. It has got to be set up as a legal person. Okay? It's in my presentation, but we didn't have time to go through all those details. An investment club is either a company or a cooperative or a partnership. Okay? There are advantages and disadvantages of each. Probably this discussion can happen another time. But most clubs have found it easier to either be cooperatives or companies limited by shares. So, for example, if you're going to buy land, you cannot, even as we went through that challenge when we had just started and we had not yet registered the company, because right now we are set up as a company. We bought land and they told us you can't own land. You can't have land in the names of Christlink Capital because Christlink Capital is not a legal person known in the laws of Uganda. So we had to register a company limited by shares to be able to do such business. So yes, you are right. Some investments you can't do if you're not set up as a legal person. There are things that you can do. I think you can buy into unit trusts. You can open a bank account. Banks have allowed it. But for you to be able to do serious things, you have got to be serious. And that seriousness is shown in doing things right, like setting up a legal person. Thank you.
Yeah. Daphne, please go ahead.
I'm in once again. I would request to speak to you in person, Abid and Stephen, for proper guidance, because I think I have a lot of questions for you guys.
Okay.
And I have a lot to learn from you.
Right. Stephen, please share.
I would appreciate.
Okay, thanks. Stephen, please share your number in chat.
I did already.
No, I'm saying Stephen, Stefan, please share your number in chat.
I don't know what I have a problem with my screen. I just need to restart my laptop. But if you're noting, please note it. I'm going to read it twice. It is 0773 773 340 198.
198.
773 340 198. It's also on WhatsApp. You can drop me a WhatsApp and we can talk.
Okay, so as we wait for you to come back.
No, I'm here, but just my screen is playing games. So I can answer verbally, but writing, I think I can't type. My screen.
All right, I'm seeing Lawrence also has his has his hand up. Please go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you, Enterprise Uganda, for this initiative. I want to ask, is it possible to share the presentation on the WhatsApp group?
I'm going to, it's okay, it's possible. I'm going to share this, the presentation with, I think, Ronald. I have his email. And then he can share on your WhatsApp group. I'm not on your group, but I think I'll share it. Thank you.
Okay, so I've reshared the link in chat. Please let me know if it works or not. Sorry. There's a question from Belinda in chat. So what happens, or what is your advice on members leaving irrespective of personal choice or failure to pay or abide or pay up? How do you handle, especially when they are members, what they want, they put in or with interest? Yeah, so how do you handle when members are leaving voluntarily or involuntarily? I think that's her question.
Oh, when members are leaving, again, that will depend on how on what the need is in your club. I don't know why you have asked that question, but if what you are asking is what I'm thinking.
Maybe you could give best practices. How do you handle people leaving?
One of the best practices is, number one, people need to remember that an investment club is not a bank. And that's what we tell our members. We are not a bank where you can put in money and withdraw it at leisure. We are an investment club, so our money is invested. So best practice, number one, when you're doing your investments, you have got to plan for the fact that some members will leave, depending on how you are set up. If I may give the example of the club that I belong to, we are set up as a company. So people have shares in the company. And sometimes someone can have 20 million, 30 million. That money is invested, okay? But also the money that people bring every month, which in CLC we treat as deposits that are withdrawable, is also invested. So the rule, what we do in CLC, we tell them, you know what, for you to leave, you have got to give us notice of at least a year. It's long, but you have joined a club, which is not a bank, okay? So you give us notice. If you still need to get that money out before a year, then we penalize you a certain amount, a certain percentage of the money that you're withdrawing. But also, we also encourage members to bring in some monies that they may say, you know, emergency fund, you know, in case I need this money at short notice. Even when we are investing it, we invest it in shorter term investments like unit trust. There we can get some little interest, but we know that that money is liquid enough for us to pay out to the members that might either be leaving or withdrawing part of their stake. So critical, ensure that in your bylaws it's indicated the amount of notice that people have to give you. When you're investing, please invest with that in mind. Invest in a combination of both long-term and shorter-term investments, and then please stick to the rules. That's what I can add. Yes.
Yeah. So generally, like one investment clubs. Oh yeah. This is why Roland, I think, Roland asked me to moderate this session, have a bit of experience with investment clubs. We have a rule: when you're leaving, there's a percentage of the money that stays behind. This is meant to discourage members because they're trying to build a bit of long-term capital. And every year there's a bit of interest calculated, but it is reinvested back into the investment club. So when somebody is leaving, they need to give notice based on the amount of money they have contributed. So if somebody is up to date in their contributions, they receive much more of their money. those who are not updating their contributions receive less and things like that. But yeah, you can always get in touch with either Stefan or myself, and we can advise. But again, to have to be something you make a decision on. Yes, I think there's a book recommendation from Kisembo Arnold. It's by Strive Masiwa. He has put there the YouTube link. That's okay. There's a gentleman from DFCU Club, DFCU Investment Club, who is in chat. This is one of our key partners as Enterprise Uganda. But yeah, they have been very active in the investment clubs. It's called Aziz. He's a manager, senior manager, investment clubs and SACCO. Aziz, please put your contacts there in chat. They help very well in managing investment clubs. There is Nila Manzi has asked, what do you advise on investment clubs? Which one to pay a member who runs a club business? Yes, they also don't want to work. I don't understand that question.
Just read it again.
What do you advise on investment clubs which never want to pay a member who runs a club business, yet they also don't want to work?
Oh, I think what they mean is a member that probably puts in time to run the club, I think to do the administrative work, and probably, and yet the rest of the people are chilling, and this person is putting in their time, and they are not willing to remunerate them. I don't know whether that is your question. But if it is, like I said, depending on what capacity you're in, if you're part of the leadership, the truth is, it is always a sacrifice. Some offices on the investment club committee are busier than others. That's a reality of life. The treasurer, okay, in CLC we call them the portfolio director, maybe will be busier than, say, the chairperson, depending on the tasks that each person has. So it's a reality. Some people will be busier, but again, like I said, at the start, before you are big enough to pay a staff that specifically does investment club work, those sacrifices will be there. But it's also good to be fair to the members, so to the people that are putting in time, if you can, to remunerate them. Sometimes, of course, it's hard to determine how much time they are putting in and how much effort they are putting in compared to who. Sometimes it becomes a bit harder. So I will ask you, my dear, to be patient, but also to advise the club, like Abid said, that maybe sometimes the reason they give is that there's no money, we can't begin to put members' savings into paying administrative expenses. Maybe you can take on the solution that Abid has given to us, that, you know what, allocate a certain maybe annual subscription. In CLC, we pay an annual subscription. That money is not part of your savings. It specifically goes to administration of the club. Maybe they need to set up such a fund where people pay money just for the administration to pay the people that are putting in time. But the truth is, sometimes you can't pay that person enough, especially when the club is younger. You understand? The expertise that it takes for that person to run the club for a year is probably just too expensive, and you need a bit of understanding here and there. But so it's a combination of several things. Please have a fund, but also invest that money. I mean, why don't you make investments? Get a portion of the interest that you're getting or the profit that you're getting from the investments that you're doing to pay the administrative cost that is being put in running the affairs of the club. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, that is true. If somebody is doing some work, but it's highly unlikely you'll be able to pay them in the beginning, especially for what they are able to do. So in the beginning, it's going to be a volunteer, it's going to be a work of love. But as the club grows, then you start putting in some bit of funds towards having people being paid for the work that they're doing, but also still it won't be that much. But maybe expenses and things like that. until the club goes to a certain amount. What some clubs do is they give triggers. Maybe if we reach 50 million, we're able to do this. If we reach 100 million, we're able to do this. If we reach 200 million, we're able to do this. So this way it helps people to actually move forward. And then also look what is your investment rate that you're having from interest rate you're having from all your investments. So that you give vis-a-vis that. You should not be paying somebody more than the interest that you're generating as a club. People are refusing, saying this link is still expired. I'll just check with that and maybe share it on email. Let me send it. I'll send the number for Enterprise Uganda, and maybe you can send a chat to them, the WhatsApp chat, and then you'll be able to add to the group. Yeah, this has been. Yeah, some questions have been answered. I'm going through chat. Daphne, is this from before? You have another question? But Anne had a question. Given your experience, on average, how long does it take for an investment club to break even or become successful? Would you recommend starting an investment club or circle in workplace where people leave when contracts end? Yeah, there's the Uganda Bankers Circle that started in one bank and has now expanded to all other places. But Stephen, please go ahead. There's a question from Anne. And how long does an investment club take to break even?
That is a hard one, because I mean, each club has got its own. I mean, each club is unique in itself. How long it takes to break even? I don't know how you're defining break even. You know, break even, strictly speaking, is the point where you begin to make profits. Now, I don't know what kind of expenses, incomes you have and expenses you have. I don't think an investment club should have a lot of expenses, especially if it has very little income. So you should, one of the advantages of running investment clubs is that the cost of running it tends to be significantly much lower than running a typical business. But like I said, it's a hard one. I mean, what kind of revenue, what kind of business are you into? Because now we are going, if you're into business, for example, we are going now to begin to look at the business itself. You're, say, running a poultry farm. Now we look at the nitty-gritties. How long does it take for that poultry farm to break even? Not the investment club, the side of saving and all that. Because an investment club, the side of investments and savings, should not have a lot of expenses. Your expenses should be really minimal, administrative and the likes. So I think here we shall go back to the business that you're doing, how long it takes for that business to break even. Typically, each business in each industry has got its own expected break-even point. Whether how would I advise? Is it better to set up as a company or a circle? They all have their own requirements. A circle is a type of cooperative. Okay, there are several types of cooperatives. There are manufacturer cooperatives, there are producer cooperatives, there are farming cooperatives, there are transport cooperatives, and then there are circles. Those are all types of cooperatives. And for every cooperative, the minimum number is 30. So if you're less than 30, then you can't be a cooperative. If you're above 30, then maybe you can be. Other advantages of cooperatives like circles, yeah, of course, contrary to popular belief, some people think that it's easier to run cooperatives than companies. In practice, it's actually not the case. I've realized the requirements from the Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives are quite a lot more than the requirements from URSB. That's what I've realized in practice. Although when you read literature, most of the time they tell you companies are harder to run than cooperatives. It's not the case. Companies in Uganda tend to be easier to set up and to run. Of course, other advantages, the taxes that cooperatives, the tax benefits that cooperatives tend to have compared to companies. I mean, on income tax grounds, and then of course the numbers. If you are bigger than 30, for the group that is 400, for example, you can't be a company, except if you're going to be a public limited company. You can probably be a cooperative. So any can do, really, any can do. Companies tend to be easier to run, although. Thank you.
Yeah, so you should also know, yeah, like you're saying, which vehicle is best for you. If you have very few, then that investment club works. Less than 30. I recommend people not to go above 15 for an investment club. But if you're going to be more than that, maybe another vehicle would be better. I know some people that have actually transitioned to circles and cooperatives because of the large numbers. So different things that will go forward. Daphne, you have your hand up. I'm not sure if you want to say something. We should wind up in the next 7 minutes. Daphne? Okay. We're talking about the link. I'm going to share the number for Enterprise Uganda, and then you can send a message. Question from Birunji. How much do you recommend to invest per month, which is sustainable?
Any amount, really. Some clubs are investing 10K, some clubs are investing 500K. So it's really up to you, depending again on the age group. Please do something that, like you said, do something that's sustainable. If you overstretch members, unless you're saying that we are only doing this for 2 years, stretch them for 2 years and be done. But if you're doing this for the long term, do something that is realistic. When we had just started, it's good also to grow the numbers. When we just started, we started with 10K per person. We were students, we could only afford 10K. But even with 10K, some people were not bringing their money. And then we kept increasing it. Now we're doing 300K. So really the sky is the limit. But I think you need to set something that you know people can afford. If you're a group of MPs, maybe you can do 5 million per month. Yeah, so that I leave to you. Thank you.
So also, yes, so there are a number of questions that I don't think we'll be able to answer all of them. Old Mutual is one of the things. Yeah, there's a link by Emmanuel Safari about Old Mutual. Please just check out that link. Aziz has posted his in chat. Yes. Look at the members of the group and see what is the best number, what is the best amount. For example, of our group, we looked at the average contribution over a few years. We said from 100 went 150, went 200, but we realized average contribution for most members are comfortable with was 150, so we went back to 150 because that was what people were actually comfortable with in that group. I remember when I said my first group was 5K a month, that's when we were in secondary school. And as we grew, we also kept increasing the amount of money. Unfortunately, that group collapsed due to a number of reasons. Maybe it's related to this. How do you overcome? I think this will be our last. Daphne says she's unable to unmute. Daphne, what about now? Try again.
Oh, thank you, Abid. I can now speak ably.
All right. Okay.
Speaking about payments of people serving investment clubs, what would you think for an investment club that has over 100, over 200 members and has a subscription fee and has an annual subscription fee, has a membership fee, and then still wants to reduce the members' shares to pay, let's say, a club admin? What would you make of that, and what would you advise? Thank you.
I think it's a no-no. You should not be touching members' money to pay administrative expenses. Instead, I think you need to rely either on the revenue generated from the investments. Please remember, an investment club has got to invest. If you are not investing, then you are just a savings club. You have got to invest and invest well such that you make revenue from that. And it's from that revenue that you should pay administrative expenses. That and or your other income, like annual subscriptions, fines and penalties. I think it's good to sit down and do a budget, okay? Do a budget. If you are spending heavily on administration compared to the revenue that you are getting, maybe you need to revise that. But touching members' share capital, I mean, how do you even treat that in the books of accounts? It means you're making losses practically because of administration. So I think you need to sit down and draw your budgets as a committee, and then see where you need to cut, where you need to maybe increase your revenue, maybe you need to invest a bit more aggressively instead of probably some clubs. There's a club that I went to consult on that was consulting from me. I sat with them and they realized they were putting their money in a certain fund. I don't remember, I think it was with one of the banks. And I told them, you know what, you can put that money actually in a bond. The bond was yielding at the time, I think a long-term bond at I think around 16%. And they were, just by getting more revenue, you can be able to pay administrative expenses and then leave something for the members to enjoy in form of profits. So to me, I think it's a no-no to rely on members' savings to pay administrative expenses. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some clubs that do an administrative fee on top of the contributions to help with this, but generally the club should be making more money than the expenses. Otherwise, that is a degenerating club. This is going to be our last question from Peter. How do you overcome personal interest in an investment club? As on a group where members often fail to agree on what to invest in and eventually collapsed.
The best solution is to have a strategic plan and or an investment plan or investment policy. That will help you to mop out. So remember what he said, that the investment options are very many. And some, of course, when you go to a club and you find me, Stephen, I am into money lending, I will tell you guys, let's invest in money lending. Then you find another person has done transport before, they will tell you, let's buy a taxi or buy an Uber car. Everyone has got their own idea, and everything to me, it is personal, it makes sense. When you come to me, when you look at me and you're saying, Stephen is proposing this because that is what he has done in the past, you will say, I'm doing it for personal reasons. What I recommend, please have a strategic plan and try as much as possible to stick to it. The strategic plan will say in the next 5 years, we are going to be investing in 1, 2, 3 investments. How much? So much. Where are we going to get it from? From A, B, C, D, from member savings, from maybe share capital, blah, blah, blah. How much are we going to? So please be very clear on the plan and stick to it. If someone comes and does not respect that investment strategy, then you are perfectly justified to allow them to exit the group, especially if they are not willing to listen. Thank you.
Also, another thing that we do in Summer Club is that you set up in addition to the investment plan, you set up an investment philosophy where you say a percentage of this is going to be, we shall do high risk, low risk, and medium risk investments, and apportion percentages to each of them. And basing on that, when somebody comes with something, you're like, where does it fall? This is the envelope we have for that amount of money. And don't go beyond that, because you want to protect the members' contributions. For example, low risk investments are usually like the government bonds and treasuries, the unit trusts and a few other things. When something is high risk, you say maybe only 40% of our or 30% of our money can go towards this, and always stick to that. Because sometimes you can put 90% of your money in one high risk venture and it collapses and people's money goes. We've been in a situation like that where money just went in a high risk venture, and you have to always have these things and stick to them. Stick to them. There are rules. There's nobody to bypass them. And we also have this thing of certain rules can only be changed at the AGM, and AGM is once a year. So many people are highly in motions and what, and they say all of us are voting for this. You're like, but our rules say AGM, and it's not an AGM. Like, no, you wait until the AGM. And you find by then people have cooled down, they've had better understanding of things. Don't operate on emotions.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I put the updated link for the Enterprise Uganda group in chat. I also put the number for Enterprise Uganda WhatsApp number. You can send a message to that number and we shall add you if this link fails to work. For some of you want to get in touch with me, also my number, and put it in chat here. You can send a WhatsApp. Yeah, it's a bit of experience with some of these things. Thank you, Stephen, very much. Please get in touch with Stephen. Stephen, please put your contacts again in chat for people.
Okay.
Investment.
Abid, I request somehow, I don't know my screen. I haven't restarted my machine, but just help me. Let me just read it again. Maybe even as I conclude, we have an accounting system for investment clubs that might be interested. Manage investment clubs. It's an offline system. You install it on your laptop. It's called Acast FIN, but you can meet in case you're interested in the system. We can again discuss and you see how you can get yourselves one. But my number is 0773 340 198 773 340 198. Just send me a chat or just give me a call and then we can talk and discuss. I appreciate you, Abid, for putting this together. Thank you so much, and please send my regards to Ronald and the team at Enterprise Uganda. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any last words, Stephen?
The last word is please note that when you have started an investment club, it is your baby child. You know, it's a disturbing, it's an annoying baby. It's very naughty, very busy. It's all over the place. It's going to take a bit of work, but you know, it is your baby. Take care of it. It will take care of you in the future. Give it the time that is due to it. Put in effort as much as possible. Please put in place controls. These controls are for the good of the club. You know, the controls that we talked about, having a bank account, doing your books of accounts, calling meetings, having minutes, all those things that we've talked about, please ensure that they're in place. You guys I'm speaking to educated people. You are doing these things. If you're employed, you are seeing these things being done at your workplaces. Do them for your investment club. And the sky is the limit. The potential that investment clubs have is enormous, enormous. I can never overemphasize that because of what I've seen from the investment club that I belong to. And yet, even us, we are not yet where we want to be. So thank you so much. God bless you all.
All right. Thank you very much. A reminder, Enterprise Uganda hosts this every Thursday. And all our recordings are sent via email. And also they are posted up on the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search for Enterprise Uganda, you'll see our channel and all the previous presentations and even today's will be done here. So thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you everybody for showing up. See you next Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. I will just leave this open for a while. I'll put